Let's talk about learning. Learning and practicing, specifically music, has been an area I've been studying and working on almost as long as I've been playing the instrument. I started playing when I was very young guitar, and I didn't know anything about it. I just boom chick, played country music and had some fun. And then I started realizing there was music that I wasn't very good at that I liked, so I started learning how to practice. But learning anything, well, not anything, most anything requires physical work, requires repetition. I think therein lies the challenge for musicians, music students. And that is, there are things that we can learn by reading a book and we go, hey, I gained knowledge. There's things we can learn by having a little bit of experience and going, oh, I did that. Now I know, or now I understand. There's a number of things we can learn by sort of transfer of knowledge. And it has been said by many people that knowledge is power. Well, in music specifically, I don't believe that's so. Two or three reasons that make me able to say that. I've seen numerous people who didn't know very much at all about what they were doing, and they played beautiful. Plus, I've also I've seen a lot of people with a lot of knowledge who just didn't seem to play very well. The truth is when it comes to music, it's an oral art form. And we need to use our ears to learn music, to learn the sounds, and we need to physically practice to execute. And again, there's the problem. Today, it's just not popular to physically do things. It seems like everybody wants to talk about it, wants to read about it, wants to watch it on YouTube, wants to have clinics and seminars. I joke, which is not really a joke, when I have a group of bass students and I say, now, we're not going to talk a whole bunch, we're going to play, we're going to practice. Specifically, it's like if we're going to talk about in this room swimming all day today, well, it's just not going to really mean much until we get in the water. Well, that's what I'm talking about. Learning, one of the most challenging things with learning, is that we don't know what we don't know until after we learn it. And then we tend to go, oh my God. Another thing that is music, it's learning, but it's not it's different than other areas, and that is you can hear people on the other side of the door speaking a language, let's say it's Japanese, that you don't know, and you can go, oh, I know Japanese, listen, I recognize it. No, that's recognizing it. That's not being able to speak it. That's not knowing it. And in music, our ears are really incredible. We hear. Doesn't mean we can play. We understand by reading it. Doesn't mean we can play. And in music, if you can't play it well, you don't know it. Those people that try to separate sort of the learning process from, man, I'm studying this here, I'll learn to play it later, that just doesn't make much sense. That just ends up, those kind of people that talk a big game that can't really play. It's all about repetition. I figured this out when I was younger with some really fundamental things. I grew up doing physical labor. I cut wood and picked beans and drove tractors and fished. and I very quickly, I'm the kind of personality that if I could just do it over and over and over, I got it. I didn't need to study it. I didn't need to know why. I was telling a student just the other day, you don't need to know how the motor works to drive the car. Well, you don't need to understand music theory to play in tune, to play nice sounding notes. What we do need to do is get in a habit, understand that if we are going to learn to play, perform music, we have to physically work on the mechanics that it takes to do that. I know there's musicologists. I used to joke again, but it's not really a joke, and that is, what's a musicologist? It's a musician who doesn't play an instrument. Well, I guess that's possible, but I always think of a musician as someone who actually makes a sound. If we're going to learn to do anything on our instrument, and if we want to play these notes, nothing but playing that note and then that note is going to make us better at playing this note and that note. And you might say, Jim, but you just played this note and that note. Well, yeah, but I want to learn to do it with a beautiful sound. I want to learn to do it with a nice tone, with a nice touch, in time, in tune, maybe really fast, maybe in combinations of other ones. And nothing takes the place of that physical activity over and over and over Nothing takes the place of that. That will make me better at doing that. I've been teaching and playing for a lot of years, and it's amazing how some people just outsmart themselves. They just want to, again, study and think and talk about music. It's really all about repetition. What is practice? Practice is the the repetition of a physical activity, nothing else. So let's get specific about practicing a little bit on the bass. Actually, any instrument. Excuse me. You need to start with the basics and the simple things. Good hand position, good fingering. And you need to work on those for the rest of your life. You say, well, Jim, don't you ever get to some point where you don't have to worry about that stuff anymore? Well, sure, but doesn't mean you still shouldn't keep working on those fundamentals. If we get to a position where we're playing and we don't have to worry about fundamentals, that's great fun. But what built that strength and that ability to do it? It's working on those fundamentals. What we really want to do is we want to work on the mechanics of playing the instrument, not the cerebral knowledge of it, the physical mechanics, so that all the motions that we want to use, that's in the style of music we want, just become muscle memory and relaxed. See, it's a virtual impossibility to say, man, I want to learn everything. Well, good luck. But you really can learn a lot if you're just willing to do one block at a time. One block at a time. And that's a challenge too today in our sort of sped up, everything's quick society. Do it all in a minute and a half or less, 90 seconds. People practice and then want to pile some stuff on top of it. But if you take this bottom brick in your foundation out of the oven too soon, it looks like a brick. But when you start piling others on top of it, it crumbles because it's not strong. So there's a patience that's needed. There's an understanding that learning anything well is done over time. And again, that's a problem seems like today. Lack of patience, lack of understanding, a lack of looking down the road. And that's where a good teacher comes in. Man, I get students. I got a guy who, matter of fact, texted me and emailed me just a few days ago, actually about a week ago. And he said, Jim, I've been playing for 19 years and I really need someone to help me, get this together. He named about 5 or 6 things. And I thought, oh my God, 19 years and you haven't learned to do those things? And I mentioned something to him and he emailed back and he said, well, I've spent the vast majority of the time, teaching myself. Folks, Confucius say, man who is self-taught has fool for teacher. Wouldn't all of us who want to be really good at something just go ahead and do that if we knew how? So if you, me, aren't at the level where you'd like to be, well, that's probably because you just don't know how to get there. Or you can say, oh, I know how to get there, but I choose not to do it. Well, that's fine. That's everybody's choice. But don't kid yourself. It's simply a lot of work and a lot of repetition. I have students at all different ages and levels. And it seems like the guys who are practicing the most are always playing the best. And the other guys are always looking at them going, man, I wish I could do that. And I always say, get after it, bud. I'm not teaching this guy secrets that you haven't, that I'm not teaching you. No, we pretty much all, kind of know what to do. We don't really know how to discipline ourselves, most of us. And sometimes we just don't know how to break it up into those small bite-sized pieces. And then once we do, one of the hardest things is knowing when is it good? When is it solid? When should I add things to it? Again, that's a teacher. I want to encourage you to get really serious about practicing. Matter of fact, I'd like to recommend my book, a book I wrote called Laser Practicing, Success Principles for Musicians. It's all about practice. This book has got a whole bunch of principles about practice, and it's also got my background, my story of how I learned how to practice, how to think, how to teach. And it just might be an insight for you. If you find just a little bit of yourself in that book, then it's worth it. Y'all know what I'm talking about. You read a book and you go, hey, man, somebody looking over my shoulder? That's me too. Yeah, we're all a lot more alike than we are different. We all have challenges. It's just a bite at a time. And it's not just wanting to do it. It's willing to do it. Oh, that's another big one. Jim, I don't know if I have the time. Folks, quit using that excuse. We all have 24 hours every day, 168 hours every week. Everybody's got the same. Nobody gets less. No one gets more. The simple question is, are you choosing? What are you doing with some of your time? Are you just spending it or are you investing it? No, music should probably not be the priority in many people's lives. Most of us, we're humans before we're musicians. But it has to be enough of a priority that you prioritize some time to practice on focused stuff, step by step, that'll get you someplace. Otherwise, you just get frustrated. You just go around and around year after year going, man, I wish I shoulda, coulda. And then it's really sad to me when I see unbelievably, talented and excited and loving and passionate musicians who, after a few years of stumbling around, not focusing, not practicing seriously, give up and go, well, I guess I just didn't have it. That's usually not the truth at all. Usually the truth is you weren't serious about practicing. Don't you imagine if we repeated this enough times, we could learn to do it really well? Like, what about 100 times? Oh, sure, I could do that. What about 500 times? What about 5,000 times? You say, well, it probably won't take me that long to do it well. Well, I don't know that. But aren't we going to want to do probably more things than just that? Maybe. Well, guess what? There's mechanics in all of that. The point being is, don't beat your head over the wall, or don't think you're beating your head over the wall by going, man, I tried that. Well, trying is not it. It's the actual physical repetition of doing something. It builds up so fast. Most of you can relate to it. If you go to the gym, it hurts. Well, of course it's going to hurt. But if you do it over and over for 30 days, you go, oh my God, that's fun. It's starting to feel good. I can actually do that. It's the same with music. I've been so fortunate to, play music all my life and with many great players and have wonderful students, and I play with my students, and it's such a joy to be at a place to where I can, pretty much play the notes I want. And the students are, they're always going, man, how do you know how to do that? Well, lots of years of practice of doing it, training, experience. There's no substitute for it. But if you love it, it's just a sacrificial labor of love. And the key ingredient is getting focused, understanding what it takes, and then just continually working on it. You can achieve great things musically if you're willing to be patient enough. Fired up. I know you can do it.